And now, from Shenango Valley Studios, coming to you live, one of the most talked about shows in the Shenango Valley, because it's the only show in the Shenango Valley. Your host, Sean Zipai with The Zip Code. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Folks, we got a fantastic show for you tonight. None other than Lems Shoes founder and owner, Andrew Rademacher. The man, the myth, the legend. So, folks, as soon as he joins, we will bring him in. Hopefully, he's not having any technical difficulties, but thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Zip Code, and we will get right to it. There he is. We're going to bring him in. Let's roll with this. Founder and owner of Lems Shoes, Rademacher. Thank you, everybody, for the love. There he is. All right, man.
Hey, man.
What's up, dude? How are you?
Good. Hey, sorry about the delay. I think there was like 6 people going live at the top of the Lem Shoes page. So
no problem at all. Literally zero problem. Hey, for the next 58 minutes, man, we got you right where we want you, on the screen, baby.
All right. You're funny.
All right, so before we get into it, Rademacher, let me just remind everybody, folks, we got the owner and founder of Lems Shoes out of Boulder, Colorado, Andrew Rademacher, with us tonight on the Zip Code. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. I want to thank some of you for already sending me questions. I have all those questions with me, and I will get to those at some point during the show. But, folks, if you have any questions, feel free to send us a message, and we will get to it as best as possible. So we got Andrew Rademacher here, graduated from Hickory High School in 2004, went to Purdue University, and you did the decathlon there, correct, Rademacher?
Yeah. I did my first 2 years, I was just pole vaulting, and then my junior and senior year, I switched to decathlon.
And your major at Purdue was what?
Landscape, horticulture, and design.
Landscape, horticulture, and design.
Yeah.
Nice. So I think it's funny because a lot of entrepreneurs you talk to, although you did have some design experience, a lot of times it's like, yeah, you got a degree, and then all of a sudden life takes you to a bunch of different places, and it doesn't matter what the heck your degree was, right?
Right. I think you can learn by doing, and lots of people start a career in one direction and figure out some niche that they want to join, and then start a business that way.
Absolutely. So, folks, before I get into it, I want to thank Sheets. Sheets run and done. Hey, when was the last time you had Sheets, Andrew?
Last time, actually, I think we did stop like a year and a half ago when we were in Pennsylvania. But yeah, they don't have Sheets out here in the West.
Hey, maybe one day Sheets will appear out west.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, any hour you can pick up a meal quickly, and you can put as many pickles on it as you want.
Very true. Very true. I don't know if you can put as many pickles on it during COVID now, but I mean, I don't know. All right, so let's get to it, man. Let's talk about Lems Shoes. We're going to talk about your journey. We're going to talk about track and field. We're going to talk about everything Lems, but let's set the stage here. So you graduate from Purdue in 2008. And I'd like you to take it from there. Take us on the Andrew Rademacher Lems Shoes roller coaster of a ride, starting from when you graduate from Purdue.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I had to finish my degree in the summertime. Actually, I went to NC State and had a last class there, North Carolina State. So I ended up in Raleigh. Kind of a girlfriend was in that direction, so I was following her. And had a passion in footwear, and I had this idea book in college, and I wrote all my ideas down, or different businesses and stuff. And I was an entrepreneur, but I knew I was like I have a creative mind, and so I kind of like think outside the box. And as kind of a designer's mind, I'm always thinking about how to improve things. And I had many different business ideas, just because I didn't really think I would be happy working for someone else the rest of my life. So was just pondering things in my head. Anyways, I ended up working at Starbucks like out of college, just as to make ends meet. And then I got a job at a shoe store, like a New Balance shoe store, where they're very good at fitting. They teach you how to fit customers' feet, because New Balance has every width from AA, like extra narrow, up to triple E or 6E, and that's extra extra wide. So I got that job with the intention that I wanted to learn more about the shoe industry. And in the spare time, I was sketching shoes, and I had an idea I was sketching like a minimalist shoe. At the same time, the big barefoot running trend was happening, and I was running barefoot myself. Coming from in college, we were a Nike sponsored team, so we had to wear Nike shoes all through college training. Then I just had so many running injuries and overuse injuries and stuff. So wanted to try this barefoot running thing out, and it really it started to work, and it made sense to me that we evolved from cavemen. And not to bring that into play that much, but our feet are specifically designed for what we can do with the running and jumping. And I mean, look at what we're able to achieve. And the human foot is not to be underestimated. So I started thinking, being natural, like getting your feet natural, and heels flat on the ground and flat with your forefoot, and taking the cushioning out of a shoe and taking all the support out of a shoe, like that seemed to make sense to me. So I started like working on my idea in the evenings. I don't want to do too much talking, so go ahead and interrupt me.
No, I think that's a great start. That's a good segue. I want to ask you: were you actually running barefoot, or did you have like the Vibram Five Fingers, or were you using a different shoe, or were you actually simply barefoot?
I started by running barefoot. At the time, they weren't making the Five Fingers in like the design for running. They only had that like rafting, the initial Five Finger shoe, and it's better. They say it's better to start really barefoot running, so your foot, you listen to your foot more that way. You can get hurt in the Five Fingers if you go out, because you're able to run over harder objects and stuff like that. But like if you start out truly barefoot, you have to be very gentle and slowly build your feet up. So it kind of slowly eases you into the barefoot running in a way that might prevent injury.
So after a while, I mean, you're running barefoot. Did you start to feel like all these different little intricate muscles like around your calves and your thighs and your legs? Did you feel like, wow, this is definitely something that, like, if I develop some sort of barefoot shoe, I think we have something there? Is that kind of when your light bulb went off while you were barefoot running?
Yeah. I mean, I had the idea to start a minimalist shoe company before really getting into barefoot running, though, too, because just casually it made sense just to walk around closer to the ground and not get all that cushioning and support away from your foot. And yes, my feet, I went through like 2 months of like constant like Achilles and calf soreness and strains. And my feet got a lot more flexible. If you saw me like flex my toes back, you'd see the flexibility I've got in them. But that came over time, yeah, because I was used to running in the cushioned shoes, so my feet were kind of all tightened up, and my Achilles was shorter and everything. So as you start barefoot running, you stretch out that Achilles and stretch out your calf muscles, and then you get a wider foot. Your foot kind of flattens out, and you get a lot more muscle and meat in your foot.
So wait. So are you saying that your toes, would you stretch your toes back, or would that just naturally happen from the barefoot? Or you actually like stretch them back every single day to work on stretching out that Achilles and that arch?
I would stretch them out because I found like you start to pay attention to your feet more when you're barefoot running because that's what the skin that you have to run on. That's your shoe, you know. So you want to take care of it. So I was like ended up washing my feet more and like paying attention to any calluses I had. And so after a run, I would like stretch my toes back. I would sit like my knees on the ground, my feet underneath me with my toes, you know, stretched back, and I would just kind of sit in that position. If you know what I'm saying.
So we just had a question while we're on the health of the foot topic. It said, is a sport like basketball, is that always going to be bad for your feet? So I'm guessing they're talking about jamming your feet, the structure of the basketball shoe. Go ahead and answer that.
Yeah, basketball players put a tremendous amount of force into their shoes, and their shoes have to be very structured, same as tennis shoes, because there's so much lateral movement. I think it has to be a very stiff, like tennis shoes have to be stiff, or like laterally, and you'll never perform as, you know, barefoot in those two sports like you would with footwear on. But so and it is bad for your feet. I mean, they showed LeBron James's feet, right, when he was on the beach, and his like pinky toe is like lifted up in the air. It's all deformed and shortened. It's like he probably wore shoes that were too small for him all through high school and stuff, I would imagine, because he couldn't find, you know, stores that would probably carry that shoe size, I would think. But yeah, and your basketball shoes have to be tight fitting, so you're not slopping around in them.
Very, very true. So,
but I believe if you strengthen your feet, a basketball player, I think you could jump higher and play longer for sure when your feet are stronger and have more endurance in them. Your feet won't tire out as quickly. So,
I mean, I don't think it's rocket science to realize that your feet are the only part of your body that are connecting you to a solid surface like the ground. So I think that, and you probably agree with this, if you strengthen your feet, there are a lot of injuries that can probably be you can probably prevent a lot of injuries by strengthening your feet, because a lot of it probably stems from the feet.
Yeah.
Just saying.
True.
Folks, we're here with Andrew Rademacher, owner and founder of lemshoes.com. Sheets running done. Thank you to Sheets. Folks, I got a couple people asked some questions. We'll get them. We'll get your questions later. I'm going to put it in a different segment. But let's get back, Andrew, too. So you graduate. You were working at Starbucks. You had a journal, or you had a little sketchbook, and you started working at another shoe store, a New Balance shoe store. So you start fitting feet. You start understanding the structure of different shoes, and take us from there all the way to the very beginning of Lems shoes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, you know, beyond sketching, I was cutting apart shoes, cutting them in half. So I would sometimes buy some brand new shoes or buy them on eBay that were previously worn, and cut it in half with a knife and see what was inside and see what they're made of. Because my intention was to kind of take out all the extra fluff and all the reinforcement and extra cushioning things that you didn't need in a shoe. So, and I want to make it as lightweight, as flexible, and natural to the foot as possible. So I taught myself that way, cutting shoes in half. And then it's like I followed this journey, and I was sketching every day, and I was starting a website at the time. It was STEM Footwear. STEMfootwear.com was my first website, and so I was getting some followers on there. I was reading blogs about barefoot running and about Vibram Five Fingers, like fan sites. And I read the book Born to Run, that kind of changed the industry for a lot of people. And it paved the way for a couple other minimalist shoe companies. There was another shoe company that who I became friends with, the founders, Ultra. And so they were making a wide toe box zero drop shoe at this very same time that I was. So it was like a couple of people were onto the same thing. And Merrell was coming out with the Merrell barefoot shoes, and I had my own idea, to make a casual shoe and make it more flexible and lighter weight, and found this outsole compound called injection blown rubber, which only a couple companies still use, and that no one uses it like we do, where we use it over the surface of the whole shoe outsole. So that makes it lightweight, flexible, and feel really good on your foot against the ground. So then it's like I met a guy that was the last designer. He's designed lasts for like 50 years. I went up to Boston and met this guy in person to design our first last, that gives you the wide toe box. And I kept on drawing it to make it wider and wider. And he's like, oh, I don't know if we can make a shoe that wide. I don't think you still have to make a shoe here. So I kind of designed it around my foot and around what I thought some of these wider foot and customers that would like to spread their toes apart, what design the last around that instead of copying last like most shoe companies do. They just copy last of the past, that have that super narrow toe box that's tapered and symmetrical. I wanted to shape it around the human foot, and the human foot with the toes kind of spread apart inside. And so one thing led to the next there, and then I'm eventually made contact with manufacturers and got some samples made from my sketches, and finally made some prototypes, and then I took them to a trade show, and it was just me, and it was one other person at the time that was helping me, and then the rest is history, I guess.
The rest is history. Folks, are here with Andrew Rademacher, owner and founder of Lems Shoes. So back in 2011, Andrew, the original name that you had was STEM. Where did STEM come from?
STEM just came from a name that I thought we could trademark, but apparently it wasn't trademarkable. Everything stems from the ground up. So everything starts from the ground up. And because I had a horticultural degree, the stem of a plant can turn into any part of the plant. It could turn into a root. It could eventually turn into, branch and turn into leaves. And so it's like stem also I had this connection with it, that it can become anything too. So, and it was a short, four-letter brand name, which apparently in the shoe industry, there's some good luck with four-letter shoe names. So we hear. Yeah.
So then you go from STEM to lemming to then just finally you chop a little bit of that off for the ing and just make it Lems.
Yeah. So then our tagline for Lems became Live Easy and Minimal. And since then we've kind of ditched that. I know a lot of customers. I wonder if any of our fans are kind of listening in on this.
Yeah, for sure. There's a bunch of different comments. We'll get to them, but yeah, absolutely, they are.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm no expert in anything. I'm no expert businessman or even an expert footwear designer, but footwear design is my passion and where I'd like to eventually become an expert if I am not already. So anything I'm saying today, take it with a grain of salt.
But let me interject there and say that Lems, I've worn Lems for the past probably 6 years, and they are a heck of a shoe. So yeah, okay, maybe take it with a grain of salt. Maybe he's not the expert of all experts when it comes to shoe design, but he makes a heck of a shoe. So don't even listen to that, folks. Listen to him. He is an expert. I'm calling this guy an expert. So hey, we did have a question from a friend of the show, Anthony DiGirolamo, friend of the show, great friend of the show. He wants to know if you ever read the book Shoe Dog, and if you have, your thoughts.
Oh yeah. I love that book. I mean, I got really attached to it because, I mean, Phil Knight, you can't doubt what he's built, and he comes off, he could come off like a jerk, a real big jerk sometimes, I think, and a lot of people dislike him, and he has a competitive attitude where he's going to win at all costs. And so he will bury his competitors, that being Adidas. Because there's also that documentary that was it Nike versus Adidas or something that maybe I watched a little bit. But I think Phil does a great job writing that book, and it goes into his personal history and a little bit about his family and his kids and everything, and how that played into the whole journey, starting a shoe company. It was incredible. You know, he went to Japan at the time. The shoe industry was kind of centered out of Japan. He went to Japan in his 20s, just like I did when I went overseas to go find manufacturers, because they don't make them in the U.S. anymore. But it's a daunting thing. I give him a lot of respect for going overseas on your own, and as a 20-year-old, knowing nothing about business, and you're acting like, you know, maybe you have a shoe company, a possible shoe company. So, and he, you know, they always say, like, you got to fake it to make it. And that's, my first time, I went over and didn't have a company name, or it wasn't incorporated. I didn't have the LLC set up or anything. It's quite scary.
Yeah. Hey, and that's what separates successful entrepreneurs from other wannabe businessmen. I mean, you're right. You gotta fake it till you make it. We do that. We do that every single Wednesday, baby, on the Zip Code. You gotta fake it till you make it, Rademacher. Hey, one last question before we move on to the next segment. We had a question from another good friend of the show, Courtney. She wants to know if you know the secret recipe from the Starbucks days of the pumpkin spice latte.
The secret recipe. Well, that pumpkin spice mix, everyone loves it. You know, I heard they used to sell them on eBay for like $100, you know, for like a quart-sized thing of this pumpkin spice mix. That was the trick, I think.
Wow.
So you could buy the mix on your own. I think you could find it on eBay, and if it's not Starbucks brand one, I'm sure someone makes a ripoff mix.
I mean, somebody's got to make some ripoff. I mean, how many Starbucks employees are there across the world, and nobody's doing a little side hustle? I mean,
Right.
come on. Somebody's got to have a side hustle.
Yeah.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. We are with Andrew Rademacher. He's out of Boulder, Colorado right now. That's where Lems is headquartered. Want to thank him for the time. We got a bunch more questions we're going to get to, but I do want to get to the some questions that were sent in, Rademacher, before the show. And the first one it's a great question. Somebody sent it in. It was, how has the pandemic had a positive or negative effect on Lems?
Yeah. I thought we'd get that question. All my bankers have asked that question, and everyone, attorneys and people that are friends. Yeah. It's had a positive effect, actually. I was really nervous in the beginning, and I was watching, you know, we could watch the sales kind of coming in online, you know, instantaneously. And each day, you know, I was like, okay, is everyone gonna get scared and stop buying? That wasn't the case. People were buying online, and as you know, online sales just skyrocketed. And like Amazon Prime Day was yesterday, right? Well, the shipping companies can't even keep up with it. UPS stopped accepting new clients, and I mean, they're stopping our orders so that they could ship other Amazon orders. And yeah, so it's had a very positive effect. And we did some sales as we usually do, and people we noticed were bargain hunting probably. So they were buying during a sale period of time, but we had a lot more people buy in those spring sales than we ever have in the past. So it's been a positive effect for us, because we don't sell to that many stores. We're in a couple REI we're in like 40 REI stores, maybe not in the Pittsburgh area, but we are in Colorado REI stores, and then more West Coast ones. Maybe Washington, DC has I think an REI store, but we're mostly online, so that's why it's had a positive effect for us.
Question: we're talking about some retail stores. What's the biggest retail store in Boulder to get Lems?
In Boulder? Probably the Pedestrian Shops store, which is a local shoe store, just like Ryer's. But they sell a lot of comfort shoes and stuff like that. They have 2 locations. And I know that they order more than the local REI. There's a Boulder REI store that stocks them, but I think they're frequently sold out because the Boulder REI, I don't know how replenished they get, you know.
Gotcha. So touching base just real fast on, I mean, obviously, the pandemic hits and you don't know if people are going to buy, but, all the different outfitters for outdoor gear find out that immediately everybody just flocks to those online sites and stores, tries to get stuff. I mean, there's back ordered for, half a year. I mean, my brother went to buy a road bike in the spring and the local retailer said, we probably won't have road bikes until next April. I mean, it's like absolutely insane. So, I mean, I'm assuming that everybody thinks, okay, well, you know what? We can't do things inside as a group anymore. Let's go outside.
Yeah.
And boom, there's where Lems Shoes comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. People are out there wearing through their shoes and having to replace them.
Right. 100%. So we had another question that was sent in and it said, if I've never worn zero drop shoes before, can I still purchase Lems or do I need to make a gradual transition?
Yeah, and well, to be on the safe side, make a transition and you don't want to get injured. But we sell a 4mm drop shoe that is like, halfway from the traditional drop. Traditional drop might be, 8 to 12 millimeters. So we sell a 4mm drop shoe. That's the Trailhead and the Mesa. Both of them are 4mm, and they're not as flexible as the Primal 2s or the Boulder boots. So they also will kind of protect your foot more, I guess, and they're more cushioned as well.
And when you say drop, you mean from heel to toe? That is the difference in drop, 4mm.
Yeah. And 4mm is just a quarter of an inch, so it's not a lot of, Traditional drop would be a half inch or 3/4 of an inch heel. But so we sell a shoe that's 4mm.
So with a 4mm drop, basically by the time I step in the shoe, is my weight pressing down to really kind of level that out, that 4mm, or does it at least, is it maybe like a millimeter or two with my weight on it?
How much do you weigh, Sean?
155.
Well, you'd weigh it down probably 2 millimeters. So I bet if you put all your weight in your heels in the Trailhead, you're immediately, the 4mm would come down to a 2mm drop. Then eventually as you wear it down, if you're a heel striker and you're putting a lot of weight in your heels and standing on your heels a lot, then that could come down to 0 drop. Yeah. After, I don't know, 2 months, maybe.
So really like every 75 pounds to 80 pounds, let's say, that's about a millimeter that you're taking down out of the drop.
Well, yeah, maybe. It depends on the hardness of the midsole a lot, because and the width of the midsole and the insole board construction is a lot of different factors there. But the Trailhead's pretty stiff. It's a firmer shoe, just because it's more of like a hiking and urban shoe. It's not a running, like a road running shoes tend to be very soft and squishy. It's not designed for road running. It's designed more for trail use and for you to get some life out of the shoe too, because those running shoes are only made to last like less than 6 months. So they're made super squishy.
So, folks, before we get to the next segment, folks, we're here with Andrew Rademacher, owner and founder of Lems Shoes. We got about 28 minutes left, Rademacher. I'm going to move on to the next segment after a couple questions. Yeah, man. Hey, the zip code goes fast.
It does go fast. Let me say hi to my wife if she's watching. She might be putting the baby to bed right now. Thanks for watching, babe.
So, Rademacher, tell me this. And this was a question that was sent in. How long is the process? Well, before I even start this, hey, Rademacher's wife, thank you for allowing him to come on the show. We appreciate that. Much love, much love. So, and hi to the baby as well.
She's laughing.
How long is the process from start to finish of a new line of Lems shoes? So I'm talking about like from creation till the second. I mean, you just released the new shoe yesterday. I want to know how far back was that created? Like what is that process?
Normally in the shoe industry, it's 18 months, a year, so a year and a half, from initial sketch to production and the shoe getting into the shoe box, boxing it up, kind of, as they would say. But the Boulder Boot Mid, the leather that we just released today, I think that one was a little shorter. I think it was maybe 1 year, because maybe it was longer if you check me on that. But because the outsole was we already have the Boulder Boot High, so we came with just the Boulder Boot Mid. It was a more simple process. But starting a brand new shoe like the Primal Pursuit behind me, that one is probably a year and a half from initial sketch, because I got to design the whole new outsole. The last is tweaked as well, so it's got more of the Primal to last, so it has that the original wider toe box that customers are going to love, but some fit is improved on it, so that's changing the last and everything. And anytime you change the last, you got to change all your prototypes, and you got to change the outsoles and all this and that. And I'm a perfectionist, so I want to get things how I want them, and so time is not that relevant for me, because I'll just keep tweaking it until I feel satisfied with it.
So when you get the last from the manufacturer, are you tweaking it yourself and then sending it back to them? Or are you just saying like, hey, take a little bit off, then they send you another one?
Yeah, I'll test once I get a prototype that's on like a fake outsole. A fake outsole is like this white compound thing that so it doesn't have real rubber on it. It's made of like a foam, and so they'll glue the upper onto this thing, and then I'll test it, and I'll test the fit, and I'll test how I like the tread pattern, and the height of the lugs, and the thickness of the midsole, and the width of the midsole under the heel and under the forefoot, and all those things. And then upper, also feel the upper of the materials. Are they soft enough and flexible enough, or are they a little stiff? Can we take the reinforcement out that's behind the upper material or something? Should we add a little foam in the tongue, or increase the foam or decrease it? And then the collar, and then how's the heel fit? The heel counter is a component of the shoe that's here, the stiffness of this. So I like to go with a little softer heel counter, but I still believe, in some shoes, like a hiking shoe, you need a heel counter, slight heel counter.
So folks are gonna move on to the rapid fire on just a second, which is a fan favorite part of the show, Rademacher. We get to learn a little bit more about you, which is a fun segment. But before we get to that, my last question in regards to the shoes. Do you guys as a team, are you coming up with some of these ideas, or do you kind of have like, hey, I have Lems has a 5-year plan right now where you have in your mind different shoes that you already know that you want to make? Or is it like, you know what, a customer emails you and says, hey, what about this? And then the team kind of goes over that? Or is it like all up here in Rademacher's head?
Both of those things. It's a democracy here. Is that the right word? Where everyone has their vote, and I'll hear from our customers every day. The customer service people are always saying that they requested this or that, and we have a tally going of how many requests for certain things. So women's shoes, we get huge requests for women's shoes. Before we came out with the Boulder Boot Waterproof, the Boulder Boot Waterproof was the #1 request, and it had dozens or even hundreds of tally marks next to it, and it eventually got my butt moving to get on top of it and make it. And then some of the things have come out of my head. I started a company that way because it was just me in the beginning, and it was things were coming out of my head, and they seemed to be working. So I still use that a lot as well, for sure. And then if I'm trail running or hiking or something, and I see a need for something, or I'm biking and there's not a wide toe box biking shoe that you could get off your bike and then hike up a 14er or something like that, then it inspires me to make it. Waterproof shoes are a big request right now, I think, especially during the winter season. And we need to make some more warmer boots. And then sandal in the summer too. We don't have a sandal, and there's a lot of sandal companies that aren't doing a great job. And there's a niche, there's a little spot for us in the market there. Although I have one favorite sandal company that I like, Bedrock Sandals. They do a great job. But
folks, that's a great thing about Lems Shoes as well. If you actually email them or comment on things via social media, you heard it right here from the founder. Yes, they keep a tally mark of things that their customers actually want. That is a great lesson, folks. That is how you do business. You listen to your customers. Some of these companies, they seem like they could care less about you, but not Lems Shoes. And I'm not just saying that, folks. I know that from experience because I have like 7 or 8 pairs of those bad boys, and they are unbelievably comfortable. And yes, somebody commented, Lems Shoes rocks and Steve rocks. So, okay, shout out to you, Steve, as well. Let's get on to the rapid fire. Before I do that, though, I just want to say, since we did bring up Steve, we got different titles for employees at Lems Shoes, which is just awesome. We got El Presidente, we got Rademacher there, and then you got Wholesaler of the 7 Cs, Social Visionary, Artistic Ninja, and the Support Heroes. Now, if this isn't a down-to-earth company, I don't know what is. We like
Wait,
that.
Who made those up?
What's that?
Who made those up?
I have no idea, but those are their titles. El Presidente, Wholesaler of the 7. Yep. They're all actual titles.
On our website. Okay, that's right.
Yep. So, folks, we're here with Andrew Rademacher, owner and founder of Lems Shoes. If I haven't already sold Lems Shoes enough, folks, I don't know what to tell you. They're unbelievably comfortable. They're super lightweight. They do have a wide toe box. And it's not just, you don't have to have a wide foot to wear Lems Shoes. I actually have a narrow foot, and they're unbelievable. So let's get to the rapid fire round, because we only got about 15, 20 minutes.
I was never good at this.
It's nothing. It's literally nothing. I'm going to ask you questions that you already know the answer to because it's your brain, and you just have to give me an answer. That's it.
Okay. So,
hey, now I will say this. Some people have been kind of slow. I mean, this is the rapid fire round. So picture yourself back in 2006 or 7 in the decathlon. Like, this kind of should be rapid.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
All right, here we go. Folks, Andrew Rademacher, owner of Lems Shoes, founder of Lems Shoes, on the zip code, the rapid fire round. We got about 20 questions. Here we go. On average, how many hours of sleep do you get each night?
My wife says too much. 7.5 hours.
Your favorite food?
It used to be waffles. Now it's probably like a kava bowl. A new place that opened up.
Book or movie?
Movie. I haven't read many books recently.
Favorite vacation spot?
Probably here in Colorado, at one of the mountain towns for skiing.
PC or Mac?
Mac. All Macs here in this office.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Breakfast.
What is one thing most people don't know about Andrew Rademacher?
That I'm gonna say this. I have ADHD. I've been diagnosed with it. That and just an attention disorder. I have very short attention span, and when I focus on one thing, I can really zone everything else out around me, which can be a problem at times, but it could be an asset in other ways.
Yeah, well, it's an asset right now because you're laser focused on this rapid fire.
Okay.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. We have a couple cats though, but dogs.
On average, how much TV do you watch per day?
Maybe 30 minutes. Maybe one show that if it was a show that lasted an hour long and we were into a series,
Fruits or vegetables?
Fruits.
Favorite season?
Fall or winter? It's in between. I mean, fall's beautiful back in the East Coast, but I like winter here in Colorado.
When Andrew Rademacher isn't working, he's probably doing what?
Mountain biking, I would say. or watching my daughter.
Current artist or band you've recently been listening to?
Mumford and Sons. I still listen to them. I've probably played the one original like album probably 4,000 times over and over.
I love it. If there was one extra hour in the day, what would you spend it doing?
There's never enough time in a day. So it depends. If I was lacking sleep, I would take a nap. But if I was good on sleep, then I would hopefully be outside trail running or mountain biking or spending time with my daughter and my wife.
Favorite track and field event?
Pole vaulting.
One thing you're bad at?
Ball sports. All ball sports. No hand-eye coordination here.
Couple more here. Aisle or window seat?
Aisle.
Favorite holiday?
Well, I was gonna say maybe Halloween because we have a fun Halloween coming up. Weather's been good. Yeah.
Hamburger or hot dog?
Hamburger.
Hot weather or cold weather?
Cold weather.
Two more. As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Originally a fireman. Yeah. I remember that very first when you like draw what you want to be when you're like 5 years old or something.
Yep. And last but not least, maybe one of the most important questions. Where will the zip code be in 5 years?
To the moon and back, wherever you want to be, Sean. Yeah.
Love it. Folks, with that, Andrew
You're
Rademacher has just aced the rapid fire. Dude, that was smooth, man.
Okay.
That was smooth. I mean, I think that the attention to detail and the ability to zone everything out, I think that comes in handy.
Oh, good.
So we got a couple more questions here that people have sent in. I do want to get to a couple here, and then we'll get back to so one says, do your inserts add a good arch lift in the Lems shoes?
I mean, the point of our shoes is very little or no arch lift. It's to allow your arches to flex up and down because our feet are naturally built like a bridge, and the bridge is supported on the ends but not in the middle. So the middle is meant to flex up and down. That's your arch should move up and down. But so if you're a person that feels like you need arch support, I mean, our most supportive is probably the Trailhead and Mesa. Those two shoes, particularly the Trailhead. And our other shoes, though, you might be able to fit an insert in it. If you want a more arch supporting insert.
Somebody commented, Lem shirts are so soft. That is a fact.
I saw that.
That is a fact. And another question before we get to a few more that were already sent in. What will be the timeline for sandals, or is there no timeline?
It's not in the works that much right now. Actually, I think kids' shoes would maybe come ahead of that. It's like that's a big request. But I do want to make an amazing sandal that no one has made before, because you should be able to hike in a sandal, and it shouldn't be so heavy, like with a black thick midsole and outsole and that weighs a pound on each foot. It should be light and move with your foot, and you should be able to hike and run in it, and that's possible. I know it is.
Hey, if it's possible, Rademacher, I'm sure you'll find it. I got no question about that. The question that was sent in, we're gonna get to these last few questions. I mean, we only got 13 minutes left, man. So, one was, what would be something that you would tell yourself if you could send a message back to yourself as an early entrepreneur? Is there something that you would tell yourself to kind of like coach you through some of those problems?
Wait, sorry. Say that again.
Oh, no problem. So if you could give yourself a piece of advice back in the early days of Lems, is there something you would what kind of advice would you give yourself? Is there something you'd tell yourself, like, to really, say, hey, like, it's going to be okay. You know, in 12 years, we're going to be fine.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I would say you're on the right path, or I would say just keep taking that one step at a time, moving forward, and don't get sidetracked. Don't look back and don't look too far forward. Just take that next step or where you feel is the right next step.
Yeah, I'm sure all about the details as well. And I think I was reading a book by this guy named Michael Hyatt, and he talks about how, you know, everybody has a smartphone now, and everybody thinks that by having a smartphone, a lot of times you think that life is going to get simpler. Well, really what's happened is we forget like all these to focus on these details that we need to focus on because we have all these different distractions coming at us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I think, part of being an entrepreneur. Like there's no easy route. You know, you can't just say, oh, like I'm going to get this done and then do other things. I mean, it's pure attention and focus, which you have that skill set, which is why Lems is where it's at. Let's get to a couple more questions here. We had another one that was sent in. It said, when was the moment you realized that Lems was going to be a viable business? Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah. When did you realize that?
Our first day of sales, when we went online and we had a lot of I had like 2,000 pre-orders, which was just collecting a name and address or the shoe that people wanted and the size that they wanted. I had 2,000 of those, but I never knew if people were actually going to use their credit card and check out and on the day that we went live with an actual product. And then when that day happened and there was like over 100 orders in 24 hours, I thought, oh my gosh, these people were waiting for the shoe and they were ready to buy. So it's really cool to see that working.
You said how many orders in the first 24 hours?
Over 100. Yeah.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. That was for the original stem shoes.
Yeah, and I mean there was the fear that everyone would want to return them if the shoe was bad, but the shoe was good enough in the beginning on that first production that a lot of people liked them and they came back for a second pair, or they waited for the black one to come out.
So couple more here. We had somebody sent in, what is the most challenging part? And this is a heck of a question too for many entrepreneurs that are trying to scale a business. What is the most challenging part of scaling Lems?
Scaling. I mean, I don't know that we're scaled yet, but well, we're stable now and scaling it up. I don't know. Employees are the people working here are a very important part. Hiring the right people and or sticking with the right people and getting them to become better, and them all working together and collaborating. Which we're just 10 people here, and we all really work well together. And if there was one bad person, it could ruin a couple other people, and the morale could go downhill. But we're lucky that we have all great people that work together. So I appreciate and love you guys that work here. You're dedicated, and I thank you for putting things on the line that you put on the line here.
Yeah, folks, heard Andrew Rademacher, owner and founder of Lems Shoes. Thank you to Sheets. Sheets Run and Done. I love that Italian sausage at Sheets, Rademacher. Unbelievable there, Sheets.
Put some pickles on it.
You put pickles on everything?
Well, my wife just made me a wrap she put a bunch of pickles on it, and I was thinking, yeah, I do put pickles on every sub now. Actually, yeah, and burgers. Yeah.
Interesting. Like the sweet pickles or the dill pickles?
I like the sweet ones more, like bread and butter. I'm not too much of a dill pickle fan, but yeah, even that one though still.
I mean, I like dill pickles on a lot of things. I mean, if I wanted sweet butter pickles, I'd just eat dessert after I ate the hamburger. Like, I don't want it on the burger,
Yeah. Well, pickles give the vinegary bit. My wife talks about the whole balance of flavors. You got to have that either mustard or vinegar, or the banana peppers or something in there to give that balance of acidity.
I got you. Folks, this isn't just a regular show talking about footwear, baby. This is a food show as well now. And while we're on the subject of food, are you still juicing at all, Rademacher?
Yeah. You were talking about that juice. Our juice is similar. Kale, coconut milk as mostly the base. I sometimes add a little bit of a spoonful of coconut oil to give it some more good fats. The blueberries, I always have to throw in the frozen bananas. I have the bananas in the freezer to give them, that gives that texture and that smoothie. I like to have it like smoothie, like, not like watery.
I completely agree, which is why, I go for like there are three different milks there, the trifecta, a little bit of skim, a little bit of almond, a little bit of whole milk in it, protein, kale, bananas, strawberries, and a little bit of pomegranate juice. You're good to go.
Yeah.
So, I want to just read this really fast because this talks about the Lems philosophy, which I personally find very interesting. Instead of trying to create the next footwear fad, we dedicate ourselves to designing with the foot in mind above all else. Everything we do is done with intention, and we will never stop our endless exploration to keep your feet happy and healthy every step of the way. I think it's very interesting that in your philosophy, it says we dedicate ourselves to designing with the foot in mind above all else. It's like, you think that will be obvious in today's day and age, but it isn't. And it's very interesting to me.
Right. Yeah, it's not. I mean, people get sidetracked by, these complex features or making it look more performance or something. And so they get off track of the important aspects. And that's first one being fit. Like, it's got to fit, be comfortable and fit and then following the shape of the foot and allowing the foot to be as it is, flex in the right area.
So let me get to the next question with the foot in mind. So obviously you do have a technical background. You have track and field, decathlon. I mean, let me read some of these: pole vault, high jump, long jump, javelin, shot put, discus, 110-meter hurdles, 100-meter dash, 400-meter run, 1,500-meter run. Well, let me ask you this: what was your best and what was your worst there with the decathlon?
Well, best was pole vaulting. Second best, I was decent in the shot put, actually, even though I wasn't that. I'm not. I was like 190 pounds, so not super big. But the other decathletes were just terrible at throwing a round ball for some reason. And then worst. Probably the 110-meter hurdles. I'm not that fast. Some of these other guys are so fast, and that's how they get all their points, is their speed, and then they just barely make it through the rest of the more technical events. Whereas I was more of a technical person, and I wasn't as talented with speed and height and over the hurdles in particular.
Well, there was a guy that was decently fast on the show not too long ago, Johan Blake. So, I mean, if we can ever have a nice little partnership between Johan and Lems, man, you can come down to Jamaica with us. we can pull him away from the Adidas realm.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you that because I brought up the decathlon. Do you think that Lems will ever have like some very technical shoes in the future, or right now is it you kind of like where you're at, you'll keep growing that, but maybe down the road you'll have some technical shoes?
Well, we'll have more technical shoes, not particularly track event shoes, but hiking and trail running shoes and more road running shoes, and then maybe more of a cycling specific shoe possibly in the future. And then more of like, and then I would like to make like the law enforcement and, policemen, firemen, maybe their footwear a little better and healthier for their feet, a little lighter weight, not so hot. And also like, I think about like loggers and firemen that are fighting wildfires and stuff. I mean, I haven't studied all those particular, activities, but I'm sure they require some very specific shoes. But I do think that all of them could probably be lighter weight and move with the foot a little bit better.
Yeah, you pick up some of those boots that you see people wearing and they're like 10 pounds. It's like, how the heck are you wearing this thing day in and day out?
Right.
So we got about 3 or 4 minutes here, Andrew. So I'll get to the last couple questions here. One of them that was sent in was, who would be Lem's main competitor, and how do you guys differentiate yourself?
I guess there's a couple competitors that I would mention. Vivo Barefoot, Zero Shoes with an X, and maybe Ultra, but Ultra is more really running specific. How do we differentiate? Well, I just follow my own design. I don't look at theirs and just copy their shoes. I think of how a shoe should be designed around the foot, and sometimes they don't have it right, sometimes they do have it right, but maybe I want more support here, or stiffer material here, or softer, or just maybe a more breathable material. And so
all right, folks, we got 1.5 to 2 minutes left. I'm going to ask you this. Somebody messaged me and said, does Andrew Rademacher have a nickname?
Well, El Presidente, like you mentioned, no, that's not my nickname. It used to be Danger, just because I'd always hurting myself. I kind of made that for myself, I guess, but that almost stuck a little bit. And then Rat-a-tat-tat was my one friend called me in high school. Rademacher, Rat-a-tat.
So Danger, Rat-a-tat. Somebody just commented, the design of Lems is far cooler than those others. Those are for geeks. Well, all right. There you have it. Hey, I got another nickname for you, Dad.
Dad, yeah. Thanks, Mom.
And so with that, you got to get home within the next minute and a half, because Instagram's going to kick us off here. But the last thing, how was life in Colorado? You enjoying it out there?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's really home now. I guess it's been 5 years, and whenever I leave for a trip and leave the state, or I get homesick and I want to come back. Actually, I'm now used to, the mountains are right here. I mean, from our doorstep out of the office here, it's like 100 meters to the 4 different trailheads. So we're lucky.
Wow. So I mean, are you doing a decent amount of skiing, biking, and running? Are you mostly bike, mostly ski? What are you doing?
Last year I biked a lot because I did a big race, a 6-day race in Breckenridge, mountain bike race. So I was biking, training for that. The year before that, or maybe it was 2 years before that, I was training for a 100-mile trail run race. And so I was running a lot. So, running 50 miles a week or something like that. Maybe not quite that much, but.
Wow. And you have a decent amount of property. Just running on your property, or are you running everywhere?
No, running in the trails mostly to get some elevation gain. Here it's always a challenge, like how many feet did you gain in a run? And I always try to get at least 1,000 feet in a run or bike ride, if that's like a short one, or for like a longer run or bike ride, 3,000 feet of climbing,
I got you. So last question. Somebody just said, what ski pass are you getting?
I guess Icon, right? Icon base. I think it gives you a lot of options. Yeah, but the ski resorts are all up in the air. Some of them you have to make reservations, and they only want to put just the people in your party on one lift, and you can't sit with strangers on the lift, I think, now. And you definitely can't go in a gondola with strangers.
No. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what'll happen, man? Who knows?
Yeah,
hopefully.
I mean, all the mid-mountain lodges and stuff where you get lunch and stuff, they're going to limit the number of people coming through, and you'll probably have to take your food outside. So I think they're being very safe.
Yeah, a lot of differences, but I mean, a lot of changes, but hopefully in 2021 we'll be done with it, but who knows?
Yeah.
So, hey, I got 35 seconds, Andrew. So, number one, say hello to your wife and your daughter. Thank you for letting this guy come on the show. Rademacher, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being a friend of the show. I hope you'll be a friend of the show in the future. Folks, go to lemshoes.com. Get yourself a pair of Lems shoes. You will not regret it. Folks, thank you for coming on the Zip Code, having some fun with us.
Thank
Rademacher, we will see you soon, my friend. I'm going to come out to Colorado and check up with you.
Yeah, please do, man. You're welcome to stay. You'll have a blast.
All right, brother. Will do. Love you, Shenango Valley. Rademacher, we'll catch you later.
Take care. Bye.